and let's talk about what it means to have Black Panther surpass $1 billion worldwide.
26 days.
26. So what does it mean for film, Matthew?
I mean, it's always tricky, right? Because we always have a film that, you have Straight Outta Compton that did really well. You have, every year there's Moonlight. Every year you have Get Out, obviously. You have a lot of films that kind of stand out, but then they'll have other films that maybe didn't perform as well. So, I think Black Panther shatters the notion of Black films that can't travel, don't sell overseas. I think that destroys that myth. I mean, just colorism issues, you know what I mean? That things that people think that, you can't cast dark-skinned Black women in leads and films do well. Can't have strong Black women, in the film and it do well. Black directors, I mean, there's so many things that this film kind of shattered, the glass ceiling on. And so I think that it definitely makes it easier if you're a content creator when you're going in to like pitch a project. You can literally kind of reference Black Panther as a reason why, it makes sense to have diversity in your cast and both in front of and behind the camera. Because shout out to Hannah Beachler, who's a Black woman, who's the production designer, built all the sets on Black Panther. Ruthie Carter, who was the costume designer. Rachel Morrison, who was the DP, who's also nominated for an Oscar for Mudbound. And on. You have hair and makeup people. I know they had a lot of first ADs and second ADs that were women and people of color. So, I think Ryan really did a great job of just like showing that you can have inclusion both in front of and behind the camera, and you can definitely have a successful film. I think the thing that concerns me is I could see somebody maybe being like, well, that's Marvel, it's a machine, so that's an anomaly. Can't really reference that, to kind of prove that point. And so, I think that's why it's important, when Wrinkle in Time comes out, we support that. When Boots Riley has a film that's screening later today called Sorry to Bother You, support independent filmmakers as well. I think it's just something to where, we just have to support it from every level, from the Marvel franchises on down to the indie filmmakers that, did a movie for $15,000. So.
That. So, Robin, you've got your finger on the pulse of pop culture. What are you seeing culturally that has been changing in the, really since Black Panther was announced, but definitely in the last month or so?
Yeah, I think we've been on the edge for how long? Like, I was just saying, like, when did we find out about Black Panther? Like, every Black person, like, they remember Black Panther, and they remember the first time they saw it, because we've all seen it at least 3 times. Yep. But
that's the rule we established.
It's the rule. If you haven't seen it 3 times, you haven't seen it. So.
Right. And you can no longer come to the cookout.
Right. After you see it at least 3 times. We need ticket stubs, we need a calendar, receipts. Yeah. But I think, it was encapsulated when my nieces and nephews went to go see it, and I called them, and after they saw it the first time, because they've even seen it twice, the 6-year-old greeted me like on FaceTime. She was like, I can't. And she goes, "Did you freeze?" When you saw the movie, did you freeze? I was dying.
Oh my God.
So that just meant so much to me that they, these kids in California who have never obviously been to Africa or a fictional country in Africa, were so moved by the movie. And so just like inherently, how it's like, how little kids know how to use iPhones because they're just easy to use, but they can't use any other phones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Black Panther is this like, yeah, duh. Of course Black people can be kings and powerful and like be layered and multidimensional. It's like, yeah, of course Barack Obama can be president. Like there's these watershed moments that I think are generationally happening now that I'm seeing when you talk about Black Twitter and even just in personal relationships where people are accepting that, yeah, of course we can do this. Whereas for like old folks like us, not old, but seasoned. We're like, holy crap, this is insane. We've never seen anything like this. I always say, when I first saw Ava DuVernay's commercial for Apple Music with Taraji Henson, Mary Washington, and Mary J. Blige, I was like, wow, I've never seen 3 Black women just being friends in a commercial. I've never seen it. Right. Never. Even Dark and Lovely ads, they separated the Black women. They had their own slow-mo shots. And then that was it. And so I felt like, for me, we're in such a renaissance moment where all this black content in film and TV, in art, in paintings, in radio and music is really happening. Well, music less so, but I mean, because we were always in music. We invented music. But but yeah, so I think that's how it's affected me. Like, I'm watching the babies. I'm watching them just go, yeah, of course this is normal. Why are you guys so impressed? Which I love.
Yeah. No. So we talked about a little bit about cultural renaissance. You want to keep going there?
Oh no. It's just it's like the same thing where like how you have babies now who only knew Barack Obama as their president,
right.
and it wasn't a thing of like it wasn't an anomaly to them because that's all they knew. And I think you're gonna have kids in that same way with a movie like Black Panther. Like, oh yeah, of course we're gonna be kings and queens.
Yeah.
What was that one Twitter post where the guy was like, I see why white people are always so hyped because
like, that's how you feel when you see Captain America. I get it now.
Right. So yeah, I think it's really gonna it's gonna start with the babies for sure.
Yeah, and we want to normalize this feeling that we're having. So the question is, though, we are in the middle of this cultural renaissance. Is it part of a pendulum swing? Because technically you could say in the 70s, right, we had a cultural renaissance. We had a lot of blaxploitation films. We had Good Times and What's Happening, and there were a lot of black TV shows. And then they left, and then there was like a Cosby different world kind of thing happening, and then that left, and here we are again. So is this now something real, or is this a drop in the bucket, or is this the start of something big and hopefully longer lasting?
I think you can't deny $1 billion in 26 days. I feel like more than any time in my career or in my life on this planet, it feels unstoppable. Because when I look at the numbers, when I look at Black Panther, A Wrinkle in Time, Girls Trip, when I look, or Moonlight, or whatever, all these Get Out, which should have been Best Picture, but anyway. Why are we playing? Like, I don't understand. No offense to any of the other movies either. It's just like facts. It's just hashtag facts. But anyway, but then you look at TV and you have all of this creator-driven content, and that's what I think is going to make it last more. You look at Issa Rae, you look at Donald Glover, you look at me. But you look at people who are creating their own shows from scratch by themselves. These are not people who a network came and said, hey, we want to make a black show. Do you have some black ideas? These are people who beat down the door for years, which is weirdly happening right now, actually. There are several networks like, hey, do you have anything like Atlanta? And I'm like, no, but I have my version of something, but it's not like Atlanta at all. But you have this weird thing where now a lot of the studio executives are still 90% white, and you're more, and they're trying to find this content because they know it's marketable, particularly, but they don't know the formula, and they're still confused between why Tyler Perry is successful versus why Atlanta is successful versus why Insecure is successful, and what's going to have longevity. And we all have our opinions. Black people are not a monolith. That's what I always say. People are like, how does it feel to represent all black people in late night? I'm like, first of all, slow down. I can only represent myself, but I hope that I can speak to a variety of issues. And I think that film, TV, it's all the same way. You just hope that you can kind of cherry pick the things that matter to you. But we need enough of it that it doesn't all feel the same. So what I'm encouraging networks in particular to do is to say, well, take chances on a variety of things. Like you do with every other project. Do the indie stuff, do the big movie stuff, but do the TV shows that don't feel formulaic, do the ones that do, whatever. Let's just throw everything at the wall and see what happens. Let us fail. Right. We aren't allowed the ability to fail, to be bad. Right. Let us, and I'm not saying we're going to, because we know that we only have limited opportunities, but why can't we make a multi-cam sitcom anymore? Gerard Carmichael's show should still be on the air in my opinion, but why can't we do that? Why can't we make the raunchy comedies? Finally when Girls Trip came out, I was like, yes, a rated R, female-driven black comedy, it's great. But it's not even a black comedy, that it's just a comedy. Anybody can piss on a zip line, you don't have to be black. That's why I love Tiffany and Maya's bit at the Oscars, because she was like, I pissed on a zip line. She's like, I shit in the street. That's the renaissance I'm talking about.
Yes.
With less bodily fluids.
Right.
That's your opinion.
No, I think here's the thing. I think it's one thing that always motivated me when I was a filmmaker was you look back and you're like, damn, this is what. Remember, like think back to what Spike Lee and Robert Townsend and you know, John Singleton and you know, Mario Van Peebles and Melvin Van Peebles, like what they had to do to make a film. You know, you're talking about you had to have an entire, you know, film reel. You had to take that, edit it. You know what I mean? Like now, I mean, we literally made my second movie. We shot it with an iPhone, with 2 iPhone 6s. Full feature, like entire movie was shot on 2 iPhones. You can edit on the iPad. You can literally, if we were shooting a scene right now, you could use your iPhone as the mic pack, plug in a mic, and use it as a lavalier. Take your iPad and mix. Like you don't have the same
restriction.
Exactly. Like accessibility is so much more now. You know what I mean? Like you have little babies that know how to work iPads, iPhones. They know how to edit on iMovie. When Vine was a big thing, they were, you know, that was practice for editing and movie making in a lot of ways. So I think the reason why this will be more sustainable as opposed to in other eras is it's more accessibility. I think there's more accountability with social media, and like I feel like people are more aware of, like, before, back in the day, I feel like people, it was more like, okay, you see actors, but you didn't really know how that kind of came about. You know, like I feel like now people are more like, oh, I want to be what's a grip dude? What's an electrician? Like oh, they're executives. They mean like this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I think through social media, you know, it's just has been way more opened up in terms of like what the process of movie making and TV making is, and with that, you know, people are just kind of holding things more accountable. So, you know, I think there was a time when, like, I think The Get Down got canceled, White Famous, what was the other one? Sense8 on Netflix. But then you still had Blackish that was on, Grownish, you had The Shy.
All Shonda shows.
Yeah, all of Shonda Rhimes, what she's doing. You know, Atlanta. I mean, you got, you know, John Boyega is about to open up his movie, Pacific Rim Uprising. You know, it's just such a vast, diverse, you know, just a swath of different projects that we're doing. Yeah, some that are dramas, some that are comedy, some that are sci-fi. You know, I just have never really
We need more
seen...
sci-fi.
Yeah, for sure.
I love Black Lightning.
Yeah,
I love
Black Lightning.
the new Star Trek. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're getting in there, but we need a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I think, too, the sustainability, when you speak about that, it's so true with social media because we can also ride for these movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like, our power is much more evident now than it was at any other time in history. So, you know, I think before you had to, like, I don't know, print flyers and pass them out to get people.
Right.
I don't know how it worked. But yeah, now you can just, like, send a tweet and create a hashtag and look. You know the power of hashtags. Please.
I mean, look, can we talk about that?
Hashtag.
I know. Can we talk about that though? I mean, literally,
the most powerful hashtag I think in the history of hashtags.
No, seriously. I Feel So White is literally responsible for. Wait, would you mind sharing a story about Barry?
Please.
I feel like you should. Would you mind?
I can imitate your voice and tell the story.
Exactly. So yesterday, a fantastic movie called Fast Color premiered, and it is directed by Julia Hart. Hart, right? She goes by Hart. Okay, so starring Gugu Mbatha Raw and Lorraine Toussaint, and it is a fantastic movie about Black women who have special powers and how they have to navigate the world. So seriously, if you have an opportunity to go see Fast Color, please do that and support the film. So Barry Jenkins is doing the Q&A after the movie, and so I was going back into the theater and I saw him and I just wanted to introduce myself because it's like Barry Jenkins, and so I went up to him and I said, "Hi, my name is," and he stopped me. He's like, "I know exactly who you are. You changed the trajectory of my life."
What?
Chills all over.
And I know April is very humble, and so I'll go deeper into that. I mean, literally, Jordan is a prime example. Like thousands of creators who were deserving to be members of the Academy are now being ushered in and accepted into the Academy because of you. Like if I become a
April.
member, it was directly because of your hashtag.
Yeah!
It's a fact, though. It's a fact. And, that hashtag, it's just the power of hashtags. I mean, you're able to kind of create pressure and force people to move. And you're able to call people out and, like, shine a light and hold a mirror up to them and be like, this is not right. Why is somebody like Mario and Melvin Van Peebles never been members of the Academy?
Wow.
A man that is Melvin did his movie back, with 60s and the 70s.
Yes.
I mean,
A
literally.
whole genre of film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's one of, if we have to do this thing, that is one of my biggest accomplishments with respect to Oscar So White, that Melvin Van Peebles is now a member of the Academy.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2015, 16? I mean, he's been making movies, 40, 50 years ago. So it's just things like that where you're able to kind of sometimes correct the course of history. And I think that hashtag is probably the best example of just the ability to kind of create pressure and to change the industry.
It's also the work behind it, though, too. And I know you're like so annoyed right now, but get more uncomfortable because it's also the work behind it. Like April doesn't just like sit at home and tweet a hashtag. Like she's in these streets and has been for years now. Meeting with networks, companies, corporations, filmmakers. I'm trying to get her to become a director. But anyway, that's just my side. Like, she knows it. I say it to her every time I see her. But she's like, you're crazy. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. But no, like now, you can talk about the database now, right? So she's created this new database that essentially gives no excuse to networks, studios, filmmakers. If they're like, well, I don't know any black Crips. I don't know any black actors. I don't know any black whatevers, or people of color, or women, or disabled, or Asian. Now they have a central place where they can go. And tell them the name of it again.
Aquarel. Yes.
Aquarel.
So, I'll give you 2 seconds, and then we're actually going to talk to the panelists. So Aquarel is a multicultural media resource directory that co-created between me and David Morgan, who's the founder of the Multicultural Media Correspondence Association. It is a directory of sorts. It's online, so that regardless of what your role is in front of or behind the camera, in front of or behind the curtain, and if you are a journalist, freelance or otherwise, you can self-identify in all of the categories that I've talked about with Oscar So White: race, sexual orientation, gender, yay for gender, age, location, experience, right? And you can also search for job postings. So if Black Panther 2 is going to be casting, then you can check that out and it'll be there online. On the other hand, TV networks, film studios, and media outlets will be able to search to make more inclusive cast and crew and newsroom choices. So if they say, we are going to film for Moana 2 and we need a Pacific Islander woman voiceover actress, all they have to do is check off those boxes and they get a list. So it allows everyone to no longer say, we want to work with you, we just don't.
But they're
know how
just
to
not
find
out
you.
there,
right?
Which is not true. They're all out there,
right? So we're really excited about it because it broadens, it provides more opportunities for everybody. Aquarel is spelled AKUAREL. You can search the hashtag on Twitter. There's AKUA. Wait, REL.
You better have the shirt.
She got the shirt. Hey.
You better have the shirt. Do you know her?
I gotta pay her $10
Make that
shirt. So you can go on.
She's like a magician. She didn't come in here wearing that shirt. Are you David Blaine? You know black people. We don't like me.
Magic.
I like that.
So you can go on Twitter and search the hashtag and get more information. But now let's talk about. Please.
Good job, April.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're pivoting.
So let's talk about the distinction between film and TV, if you see one, with respect to opportunities, right? Because, and I think people don't understand sometimes that in some cases, TV is a lot easier to do and a lot easier to get to distribution. Film takes years, and
Rude.
is that
just
why...
insulted me. Rude.
Well,
You're right.
and is that why we see more inclusion in TV shows than we see in film?
That's interesting. God. So it's tricky, right? So I've been at Jordan Peele's company, Monkey Paw, since like October, and he's kind of making moves in both spaces, both TV and film. We're doing the next Spike Lee movie called The Black Klansman, which is a crazy name, but it's actually really dope. and we also have like, Jordan's next movie is about to go into production, and we're doing about 5 or 6 series that are going to series this summer. And so it's like, I'm just trying to think about it from that perspective. And the biggest thing that I see is that it seems like film, for the most part, is more, particularly like newer filmmakers, it's more kind of passion driven. Like you're dealing with people like myself in particular, like you're dealing with people who like a lot of times they've been working on this idea for all their life, and they're putting their life savings into something. And especially if you're talking about filmmakers of color, a lot of times you're not dealing with big budgets. You're doing a Kickstarter campaign, an Indiegogo campaign. You're really just like kind of putting your life literally on the line to get this project out there. With TV, it's a little bit more like network based. Like, rarely do you see like a TV show creator, especially a newer one, that's able to just by himself with his own script, walking into a network and get it made. You got to figure out, get a showrunner, somebody who has experience running a show. You have to try to get relationships with the networks, with the studios. So, I mean, film
I
is
did, but you're right. It's rare. I did, but you're rare. Yeah,
oh, right.
It's
It's
rare.
rare. You're a unicorn.
Exactly.
I did, but it's fine. No, you're 100% right. The other thing is, I think TV networks have built-in marketing, right? They're going to have promotional space on their network, so they need to fill, 24 hours typically. Right. Not all, but they need to fill a lot of hours of original programming. So they have this money. Yep. Whereas with a film, if you're gonna even know about a movie, they have to put millions of dollars into marketing that movie. Yeah. There's just more at stake.
Yeah, and there's only but so many studios. I mean, God.
Right, and there's 450 television shows right now in production.
Right.
452. 10 years ago, there were 200.
Right.
So there's a crazy amount of, between streaming and terrestrial, there's a crazy amount of television.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were like 5 major studios now that Disney is about to buy Fox. So, you have to kind of go through one of these 5, it's almost like a monopoly in a way. Whereas with TV, they're just like you said, there are more opportunities, way more networks. I mean, God, they're doing original programming. Literally, Apple is about to start doing original programming. Facebook is doing original programming. Tidal. I mean, there's so many literally just like opportunities to get your stuff going that I just think there's more opportunities. Like you said, in TV than there are in film.
I wonder how long that's going to sustain. Because everybody's like, there's a bubble's going to burst at some point.
Yes.
Because everybody is like, I don't have cable, but then they've seen all the shows. So it's not. Well, some people are lying. But right. Well, I think a lot of people are like Hulu and whatever, but I think a lot of people, I think there's this like, not pendulum. What's this thing? Fulcrum. Teeter-totter?
Seesaw.
Seesaw? All right, whatever. There's a thing where I think there's gonna, I don't know, there's a critical mass point that we have to reach where it's just too oversaturated. Because the standards are moving. Like, even I was on a show called The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore before I got my current show. Thank you. And our ratings threshold was so different than even the show that's in that slot now 2 years later. Because TV is so oversaturated. You can't compare the ratings 1-to-1 in that time slot because there's now, literally 80 other options at that time slot. So everybody's splitting the ratings, which brings in another question. How do shows stay on the air when you don't know how to gauge these ratings and when people don't have cable? And so, I'm on a network that's based on a rating scale. We have to prove a rating in order to get picked up. But say, Netflix, obviously, or even small, IFC, well, not IFC so much, but, Netflix, for example, obviously doesn't use ratings, so they have their own internal systems. But it is interesting because you're kind of always chasing a moving target in television. And I don't know if it's the same way in film, but I think for Black projects in particular that are really reliant on ratings, and we obviously, some of us still have issues with Nielsen. It doesn't rate Black people the same way, and blah, blah, blah. But, I think there's a number of issues now that there is so much production in just trying to figure out, what's a success and what's not. I love The Get Down. You know what I mean? I don't know why they didn't make another one. I don't know. I felt like it could have gone on another couple seasons. The kids are really talented. There was nothing wrong with the show, but there's nothing wrong with Underground. There was nothing wrong with Gerard Carmichael's show. There was nothing wrong with, It's just, I don't know. It's just, and that's the problem that I see is that if we don't have people in power who look like us at these studios and these networks, they'll never be able to take the chances on our projects for the length that that some of these other shows do.
No, it's It's very true.
So let's talk about how you all got into the business, because sometimes people feel like there are significant barriers to entry, and yet, very often think, oh, okay, I'm finished with my football career, I'm going to become a film director. How did that work?
You know, I mean, I was always interested in films and movies, without even thinking about it. I went to the University of Akron on a football scholarship, studied radio, TV broadcast, and media production was my minor. So I always knew I wanted to get into that business. In Akron, which is right under Cleveland, there's not much film and TV shows being made. So I was in radio initially, and then then I was able to be lucky enough to make it to the league, and so I did that for 3 years. But while I was in there, I signed as an undrafted free agent my rookie year. And, it's kind of similar to being a walk-on. Like, your signing bonus isn't the same, and your days are really numbered because I think typically there's about 80 people that are on the team, and then only 55 make the active roster. So, I knew very early on when I was in the league, this ain't going to last. They say the average is 3 years. I get that now. And I got to try to figure out what my plan B is going to be. And so, I visited LA randomly one time. A friend that was in radio was at the BET Awards the year Will and Jada hosted. I forget what year. It was like 05. And I just came to LA and I loved it. I loved that the city was all about production. Even the little print shops were come out specials on print out scripts and headshots and things. And I just loved that the entire city was just all about this one particular industry. And so I heard about this program called Streetlights. And I think their website is streetlights.org. And they're this nonprofit that helps people of color get training and positions as set production assistants on different commercials and music videos in LA. And so went through that program, signed up, got through it. Really wasn't telling anybody that I used to, I literally was just playing in the league. I was just I'm just figuring it out, and because you don't want to get judged too, because I think that brings a lot of stereotypes. People think that you're not really serious, or you're just trying to play around with it. And I was really serious, and literally just kind of started from scratch and started as a set PA on a lot of commercials, music videos. I was a set PA on the last season of Girlfriends. So a set PA or production assistant, basically, you just do all the odd jobs. You fold up all the director's chairs. You get the cast from the trailer to set. It depends on the show, but you deal with background talent, things like that. But it's really great because you're able to be on set and kind of see, what jobs you like. It's kind of like a crash course in on-set training. You're able to see, okay, this is what a director does, this is what a writer does, this is what a producer does, etc. And so, I was on the last season of Girlfriends. Lena Waithe was the writer's PA. On the last season. My good friend Michael Moss was the office PA. He's now an exec at BET.
That's so awesome.
So it's just crazy how you kind of work with people early on and then you grow. Kenya Barris was a writer on The Game. Prentice Penny, who's the showrunner of Insecure, was a writer on Girlfriends. So it's you just see how everybody just kind of grows and ends up coming into their own. But that was kind of the journey. Went from set PAing, started directing music videos. I recently did one for Chloe and Halle for the Equal Time soundtrack.
Good.
Yeah. So I did music videos, and then just, it was just a gradual thing. First you do PA, then you do music videos. Then I did a short film with Reagan Gomez, and then I did my first feature in 2012. And, so it's just a natural progression.
And Robin, you have a lot of comedic background. Can you talk about that a little bit? And how that sort of informs what you do, and being able to be so flexible and agile, and also, immediately always having a joke ready. And how, for the better or worse, and how important
I annoy her so much. I'm always cracking. Not on you, though. Not at your expense.
No, with
never.
me. Right?
Yeah, with you.
Okay.
But I never let her be serious. But no, what did you ask me? How do I use comedy to do what I do? My background. I've never done anything else. I had a job at the Gap in college, and that was my last real job. So I never had a plan B. I went to Northwestern University in Chicago, went to Second City, an improv Olympic, graduated the conservatory at Second City, went out to LA to do, I was running a sketch group at Northwestern that got a lot of traction, still is there. And then Second City saw me and they were like, we'll pay for you to come learn here, come hone your craft. I learned how to write sketch, I learned how to improvise. And my dream was to always go be on Saturday Night Live. I was master of impressions. I did 100 impressions, 300 original characters. I was obsessed with getting on SNL. at that time, only Denitra Vance and Ellen Cleghorn had been on the show, and then I think Maya Rudolph, when did she start? I guess she was on. She was on when I was, but only those had ever been on the show. And so I was just like, that's my path. So I went to LA with a one-woman show produced by Second City, and then every year submitted a writing packet and a performance tape to SNL. Every year for like 12 years. Wow. Never heard anything. But in the meantime, was doing comedy everywhere, not stand-up. I'm an improv and sketch comedian, so I was doing sketch shows with a bunch of great folks, and then who are now rich and famous, and then was also writing. So when I wasn't acting on something, I was writing on sitcom sketch shows. I was on a sketch show called In the Flow with Afion Crockett that Jamie Foxx produced on Fox. I wrote on all the award shows. So that's how I got to know a lot of comedians. I wrote for Mike Epps once, and then he started telling all these other comedians, like, yo, she's the truth. Like, she can get anybody's voice. Like, that's my knack, is that I can listen to a comedian's set once for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and I can write jokes for that person in their voice. Which is something I've always been able to do. I've always been a really good mimic. And so not only in my own performance and doing characters and impressions, but also in my writing. I translated that to my writing. And I didn't even know I was doing that. I was just trying to pay the bills. So they were like, do you want to come write some jokes for my guests? I was like, yeah. And then I wrote on like sporadically like 10 different BET awards. I wrote on the Image Awards. I wrote on the Grammys, the VMAs. I wrote on a bunch of different stuff. And I ended up writing for Chris Rock, Anthony Anderson, Mike Epps, Wayne Brady, Queen Latifah, Monique, like tons of people, right? Like everybody basically who's anybody, everybody black. And I got this reputation for being somebody who would be pulled onto those projects. So that served me really well when I wasn't performing. So I'm also the queen of like acting in a pilot and it getting not picked up or canceled after 2 episodes. I literally have been on every show that's ever been canceled. And people are like, where'd you come from? And I'm like, I just have really bad luck, but I've been here. But that's a lot of people's journey in a lot of ways. And so then in 2013, Queen Latifah asked me to come be the head writer on her daytime show. I was like, I don't know shit about daytime. I'm like a late night sketch comedy sitcom writer, performer. But they really wanted to do some cool stuff. So I did that for a year, got my first head writing credit, which I didn't know at the time was going to lead me directly back to late night a year later, to do the nightly show with Larry Wilmore, where I was the first black female head writer in late night.
Woo!
Thanks. And then I became a regular correspondent on the show. And by the time we got canceled in August, I mean, we got called on Monday, like your last day is Thursday. We were like, I'm sorry, what?
And right before the election.
Right before the election. Didn't make any sense. But we got canceled. I cried for 2 days, and then I mobilized, and within 2 weeks had sold the rundown.
Nice.
So
named one of the top shows.
Yeah, top 10 best shows of 2017. We were only on like 9 episodes, and we got named by Hollywood Reporter, Vox, Deadline.
Yeah.
Time Magazine, everywhere. Which was crazy to me. I just wanted like black people to watch it. I didn't know white people were going to watch it and love it too, so that made me very happy. But that tells you, right? Like, we're desperate. Everybody's desperate for content. Like, so many white people saw Black Panther. Like, people want good quality stuff that's people from diverse backgrounds. So anyway, so that was my path. And, for me, when we were talking about creating, it was like, no one was going to give a black woman a late night show. Like, there's only been 3. Monique, Whoopi, and Wanda. None of them had lasted more than 2 seasons. And it's just something in the history of late night television. There's been a ton. There's currently, like, 15 white male hosts in late night. Like, there's more than ever before, and yet there's still only one black woman. And it's just interesting to me because, and I'm the only one to do the kind of format that I'm doing, but I came under Jon Stewart and Larry Wilmore and Chris Rock and all these people that had done it in such a unique way, but I needed to come now. I spent all these years writing for other people and writing for myself, but now I knew I had to offer something that was really unique, because it was already going to be a hard sell to sell a black woman in late night. And so we had offers from other networks, but for us, BET felt like the place where I was going to get to be unapologetic about who I was. And I think that's the only key to success for a lot of projects that we're doing now. They have to be like super authentic, and they have to be well done. Otherwise, the audiences will see through it. You know, so I think that's part of the reason that we have such great quality stuff now is because I think Black creators in particular, but also women. You look at what Greta Gerwig has done this year, and like all these other people who are doing things that are really specific to their lives and who they are, but aren't niche. There's nothing niche about Lady Bird. Everybody's had a mom and like been a teenager, you know, like there's nothing really niche about Black Panther. It's just an action movie, you know what I mean? But there's so much underneath it.
Oh, okay.
But there's so much underneath it. But there's so much underneath it, and it's very layered, very complex. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing. What they were trying to tell us, I think, even my struggle when I was telling this show was because I shot the pilot with Jax Media, who also does Full Frontal with Sam B, Broad City. BET didn't make this show. We made the show, put up our own money, me and Chris Rock and Tony Hernandez from Jax Media, and we took the chance. And then we took it to every network in town and said, you need this show. But it's like, without that kind of backing, like, you know, I don't know how I would have made this show. I still needed some men to put this on their back, let's be honest, and vouch for me as a woman that I could actually be funny. And it's like, I've been here, and I've been doing this, and I've written jokes for all of you. And like, I still have to have a man walk in the room and say, this is the pilot you need to buy, and this is the product, because, no, she's actually funny. You know, and I think, you know, now I don't think there's a question, but I think it's still, I'm trying to just kick that door open and keep it open, especially in my industry, because it's so white and so male, and it has changed over the last 4 years because I'm really loud and annoying about it. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, our paths will be kind of ancient history because there's such new ways, like you said, to create this content, to really like, I'm just still, there's like this gap, right? So you can create the content, but how do you get it to the people? How do you get it to the people who are gonna buy it? People ask me this all the time, and I'm like, I don't know, get Chris Rock. Like, I honestly don't have an answer, and I feel really bad about it because I want to tell people, but I was pounding the pavement for 10 years trying to sell a massive amount of different shows, never sold one. And I was always like acting on stuff, people were always hiring me, and I was always writing, but I could not break the content creator barrier. So, you know, but it's still just, we had to take a real big risk and make it and put it out there. But it wasn't until I had all these other things under my belt, and then I watch other people who don't even have a belt, and they just did it. And they're like, yeah, have a show. And I don't understand that. And I don't even want to sound bitter about it. I'm just trying to solve the Rubik's Cube, you know? I'm trying to figure out, what's that thing? What is that thing that's going to connect people? In a way with like really good content, because I know that's what executives are scared about, right? They don't want to talk to, this is why they don't come to stuff like this. They send the lower people, you know, why do I keep putting my lipstick all over this? Anyway, but the, you know what I mean? It's like they're scared to come to places like this sometimes because they don't want to get bombarded with everybody with a project. It's like, yeah, but these are the people making the really good projects.
And people really don't know who you are anyway. Like the executives, we could have 10 executives in here right now, I would not know. So I mean, I think that they are more than they are, you know, with respect to me.
As we all do.
Yeah, you can green light shit, but you can walk in the room and I'm not going to know you from Joe Sixpacks.
Right. So, yeah, no, it's true. So you might as well absorb what people are talking about and listen. And that's what I love about, not to bring it back to the database, to Aquarel, but I'm just saying, access is everything. And this is what I talk about. When I hired my writer's room at the Nightly Show, it was the same way. I went outside the typical, I read 450 submissions. That is a ton. 420, I'm sorry. 420 submissions. It's a ton. I read another 250 for my show. I hired mostly people who were not represented. I went to comedy clubs. I beat down improv and sketch show doors. I showed up in people's random showcases with 4 people in the audience because I was like, where's the talent? They're here. So I just have to go to them. So that's what I try to do now. But, you know, and I've got some other stuff coming up that I can't quite talk about yet, but it's obviously amazing. That's so annoying when people do that, because I could be lying, you know what I mean?
But you know, I'm going to check you and be like,
you will. The same way I try to approach stuff, because I have to be able to say, Mia, even though I was talented, but your talent's not going to get it. It's just not going to get you there. Your talent's not going to get you there. And once you settle on that fact and get good at the business part, it's not even networking as much as it is doing the work. Because for me, I know how to edit. I know how to shoot. I know how to do my makeup. I know how to do like literally I can produce my own show. I made my pilot with 3 people. I produced my own field pieces. I wrote the sketches. I had a couple writers come in and do some days. But like at the end of the day, Trump got elected 3 days before we shot my pilot, which meant I had to rewrite the whole shit.
Oh my God.
And so you know, it's like it's you have to. I always tell people like you have to. Just like you were saying, Sapien or whatever, like get in there because people are going to be more open. He warned us he was going to leave, and I appreciate that. I appreciate
no, that's why I didn't want anybody to talk shit because you warned us. Right.
Thank you, Purple Shirt. Have a good day. But I think from my advice for folks, not that anyone asked, but someone will. My advice is start working in the business. Whatever you have to do, work for free, but not too long. But also, like, find somebody who's making a movie. Find your tribe. Lena Waithe says this all the time. You say this as well. Find your tribe. Find the people at your same level who are smart and motivated and writing. Form a writing group. Meet every Saturday morning. Write your stuff together. Start networking with people. But don't try to, like, you know, run it, you know, Steven Spielberg or whatever and be like, I have a script. He doesn't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, find the people at your level, and then when you have those opportunities to meet the Barry Jenkinses of the world, then you can say it. I have this film. I'd love to send you a link. I created it myself. It's fantastic. It's won this festival. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we have like 15 minutes left. We do want to do Q&A, so if you want to step to the mic, you can do that.
Step to the mic.
All right, she's ready. Okay. She's got a pad and a phone. Damn it. Right.
All right, so I am a teacher here in Austin.
Love teachers.
I teach, thank you. I mostly teach minority youth in East Austin. And so my question for you is, do you think it's important for minority youth to participate in hashtag movements like Oscar So White, and why?
Yeah. I think it's important for all students, right? But especially kids of color and kids from marginalized communities, because social media is the way that they use their voice, the way I use my voice. But, you know, we see the power of, for example, the Parkland students right now.
Yes.
Leveraging social media for real systemic change. Yep. So, you know, I talk about social media a lot. So there are a lot of pitfalls. And so, you know, I don't know what grade do you teach?
It's all over 9 to 14 years.
Okay, fantastic. So we're talking like middle school and, okay, so they have to be careful, you know, because there are bullies out there and there's a lot of negativity. So, you know, I'm a parent of a high school freshman and a college freshman, so I totally get how important it is that you're monitoring your kids. But absolutely, kids should get engaged as early as they possibly can with limitations so that they learn how to use their own voice.
Yeah.
Good. Loving that shirt.
Thank you very much. I'm nervous.
I don't care for it. I'm the worst. It's a fantastic shirt.
I'm trying to bring the floral back.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, like, my mom and my uncles wore it a lot back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, very good.
Are you triggered about his dance?
I sure did. I represent my family and my people.
You said he was nervous? Jeez, I'm
I am nervous.
I make
I'm
a joke. I
so
try to break the
excited.
ice.
I don't know. Am I
You got it.
Yeah, you can tilt it up a little bit.
So, first of all, I'm from St. Louis, so you wearing that hat makes me feel some type of way.
Hey!
LA, gotta represent them.
Yeah. But no, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I actually wrote a thesis in grad school on Black Twitter and hashtag Black humor and like the power that hashtags could have and how Black Twitter is a counterpublic for Black people. So this was just very relevant, and it's always relevant, and I just love the discussion. I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about, I know you mentioned you wrote for Monique.
Oh, yeah. I wrote a couple jokes for her for the BET Awards when she hosted. She called me a skinny bitch.
I think that was her thing was like skinny bitch.
That was her thing.
Yeah.
No, I took that as a badge of honor. I don't say that as an insult.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot is going on with her right now, and her boycott of Netflix.
6 minutes left, bro. Come on.
I guess I just wanted to get you all's thoughts on some of the comments that she's made and some of the reactions that people have, given her.
Yeah.
On her boycott of Netflix and her saying that Black female comedians should be paid similarly to her male counterparts.
My answer is real simple. I've said it on the show many times. Pay black women their money.
Yeah.
Pay them their money. You can't pay, like, G. Ray Davis got $2 million.
Yes.
Wanda Sykes got $250, but then
Right.
turned it down. Like, that doesn't, and no shade to him. It's no shade
Yeah.
to Schumer, Rock,
Yeah.
anybody. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, there's a lot of people that are super mad at her right now, but justifiably, but her attitude doesn't matter if she, like, I would argue that right now people would flock to watch it because
Yes.
of the drama. So she's created this really amazing machine,
Yes.
and I think it would be really cool for them to buy it right now at
I'll
a
watch
number
it.
that she was comfortable with. But at the end of the day, I
would've
think
watched
people's
it.
personalities doesn't matter. There are plenty of comedians that I don't care for their comedy, but I think they should get paid for doing their
Yes.
work. There's no other industry where you can just look at somebody and be like, yes, you're qualified to do that thing, but we don't want to pay you the same amount, and we're public about it. Like,
Yep.
that doesn't make any, and it's not even any shade to Netflix, because they're certainly not the only ones. This is, indicative of the entire industry. And black women, at the end of the day, just get the short end of the stick every time. And it's so awful, obviously, but it's not just in our industry either. We see these numbers for black women, Latino women, like we see these numbers across all jobs. But I think at the end of the day, she's actually doing a really good service by raising this issue and making us talk about it. Now, her tactics are questionable, and you can't talk bad about Oprah, and come on now. But, but I think it's the macro is that we're having the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and personally, I feel like, in a way, and this was probably not the best example, but to me, it's similar to Kaepernick in a way to where the next comedian that comes after her, the next black female comedian that comes after her is going to benefit. She may not be the person that benefits, but the next comedian.
Tiffany came out and said, I got this money, and I was happy with it, so that was
Oh
weird.
no.
It's layers. You can't progress overnight. We'll get there. Yeah.
The conversation is happening. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you, Shirley.
Oh, it's living single shirt. So I wore the special.
Oh my God! I was trying to read it earlier. That's so dope.
So I've been hyped about this panel from like the day that I heard that
zoom
it was
in.
like in proposals. Like I was like, you have to vote for this because I
Look
have
at
to
that
go.
shirt.
It's very important.
Look at that shirt.
So
That's
I
a lot of
am.
pressure. Did we live up to the hype?
You did.
Yay!
You did. So the question.
go there for a while though. She was like,
I don't know. I was with you from the jump. So you know. So my question speaks to, and you touched a little bit on it the last one. So I think that we're having an awesome moment. Like I've seen Black Panther 3 times. I had an issue with Wrinkle in Time tickets, but we're figuring it out. And I think that at this point, there's a lot of space to kind of like help other groups that kind of need that. And I think about the idea that Oscar So White as a hashtag has never been exclusively black. So how do we...
Even though people who don't do their
Sure,
research.
sure. So I think about the idea
Somebody
of like...
literally just hashtagged, a tweet that when we were coming to this panel, I was like, what about hashtag BET so black? What?
and I've been getting that.
What does that even mean?
Since 2015.
And I've seen it, and it's just like, and I feel like you've handled it well, and I'm wondering how do we kind of take some of the mobilization that has come from black creators who have been able to benefit it to use it for things like one day at a time. Like the fact that they're on a bubble is nuts.
Yeah.
Or something like Crazy Rich Asians, which is coming out in the fall, and I am so
Fresh
excited
Off
for
the Boat
that.
is struggling.
Yeah,
Like
Fresh
that,
Off
and
the Boat
that's
should not be
incredible
struggling as
stuff.
it is. Exactly. So how do we then take like the success that we've had as like black creators, black writers, and kind of say, all right, other people need this, and how do you kind of mobilize that?
That feels nice.
Need you to
So, okay, so as a cis, hetero, able-bodied black woman, it was not always clear to me that it was my place to speak on behalf of communities to which I did not belong. And so what I said was, I'm going to make Oscar So White as broad as possible because I want to see little Latinx, I was waiting for Coco, I want to see an LGBT plus, rom-com or what have you. And so I'm going to speak for everybody until an organization steps up and says, okay, we got it for the disabled community, appreciate you, and, and then I can step back and amplify them because I realize the power I have with my platform. So I think that we cannot fight the war for other marginalized communities. They have to step up. And so I've been working and consulting with, for example, the National Hispanic Media Coalition, right? And they did some stuff with the Oscars. They were boycotting, and they came out with a whole statement. And I was talking to them, and they said, well, we should create a hashtag too. And, and how do we go about doing this? And I was like, why would you do that when Oscars So White exists, is there for you, and people know what it means? Like, go ahead and run with it. Take it and then make it specific to you for the Latinx community. Absolutely, with my blessing, and I'm happy to amplify. I think all organizations need to do that. I saw that Jeff Yang is in the room. He has been championing Asian Americans in entertainment for years. His original spin on Twitter. He's got a fantastic podcast called
Hey,
They Call Me
Jeff.
Bruce. So make sure that you support him. Jenny Yang is here, who is one of the best comedians, period. But she also represents the Asian American community, and so she has been holding it down. So I think we, from other communities, just need to support them and amplify them and let them run, like give them the baton and let them run for their community and do everything we can to support.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sweet.
Hello.
Hey.
It's the Black Bounty Paper Towel Man.
More specifically for me.
I buy those paper towels. Why is it absorbent?
Hey.
This is both a statement and a question for Matthew and Robin.
I'm blushing.
I just for full disclosure, I launched my own network.
Yes.
I launched focused on diversity
That's
and inclusion.
awesome.
Oh, nice.
It's on digital.
Okay.
I used to work for Discovery Channel. I used to work on the business side, and I used to license not a lot of shows I wasn't too proud of. So in the space, I saw that there was a lack of diversity when it came to programming around people of color, but not only that, but also from a lifestyle standpoint. So I wanted to create a branded destination that actually could address that issue. So my question to you is, it really ties back to why I did this, the distribution play. Film and television is so focused on the network model, the studio model of, I have the money, you're the talent, I'm going to pay you to do X, Y, Z. What I find is an issue, especially with filmmakers and entertainers, is that no one wants to take a chance into sort of doing equity play when it comes to building a program or building a film.
Right.
I've talked to many people on a high profile level that say, look, I have a network, I have distribution with Amazon, I have distribution with Apple, I have a distribution with Verizon. I mean, I have it. I've built the platform with my team. And when I talk to them, the first thing out of their mouth is, well, I want to get paid.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's good. We all want to get paid.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it really comes down to the distribution model. The distribution model has to change. You should not have to do the work you did to go get your show picked up by a network.
Yeah.
Because they're placating to brands. We're subscription based, so I have the freedom to put whatever I want on there. But we're curating it. And we want to have unique voices that are inclusive as opposed to just saying, oh, it's a black network.
Right.
We want all the people that you're talking about just now. And so my question to you is, how do you approach the talent and convince them that they got to go beyond just pitching their shows? You don't want to just be work for hire. You want to be partnered with a network that can actually help you get out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Like, so I think, a lot of times, particularly when you're dealing with creators, like, I know a lot of people that shared my similar journey where it's like, you're in LA and you're in struggle mode. Like, you literally sacrifice, live out your car, you're like crashing on friends' couches, you know what I mean? Like, for years, 5-10 years. And then when you finally do get an opportunity to, I guess get paid your worth, or to, sell a show or to sell a movie, it's hard to ask that person to, take a chance on something that may not be as apparent, it's not as apparent to a model that they know and they trust. Everybody knows let's write a pilot, let's partner with somebody and let's go try to sell it. We know what that looks like. So, one thing I would say, and it's just like anything, people are scared to take risks, both creators and both studios and networks, So I think anything that you can do, it may not be reaching out to the big time entertainers and creators, it may be reaching out to young people, maybe it's the young folks that have, great platforms on like YouTube and things like that. And you can kind of reverse engineer it. Maybe you build it from the ground up that way. I mean, it really just takes one. I mean, look at Netflix and what they did with House of Cards. Like, they had that one show that really hit, and it just like marketed their entire thing, and then that was a commercial basically for all other creators to come to them. So, maybe it's that. Maybe it's a play with one particular person that you may have a personal connection to. You do that, and then they're able to kind of like promote that and spread the word. Or I think the better play is, you kind of reverse engineer it, and you rock with like younger creators who, people that don't have those same risks. When you're 35 and, you got a fiance and you got a mortgage and stuff, you can't take the same risk that like a college student who, is able to, live and eat off of Pell Grants. You know what I mean? Don't have to have those same risks. So, I think it's just that, I don't think there's one, like rule about it, but I do think that if there's a specific person that that, you think would be down to collaborate, use that to promote the entire channel, and then other people may come. It's that build it and they'll come model, really. No,
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're collaborating with people who want to collaborate with us, and hopefully that'll set the tone. And I just wanted to bring that to light because I think distribution is
I agree.
Mainly looked over in these conversations, especially when you're dealing with talent, because they're represented by agents who have a vested interest to get paid.
Right.
So, my company, we secured a $30 million film fund, so we can finance your stuff.
Right.
Come talk to me about it. But the point is that I had to work my ass off to get to that place.
It's Brawny, not Bounty.
Either way.
Same.
Which one is it?
Brawny.
I said Bounty. It doesn't matter. I think that also, if you're talking about something you said kind of sparked with me, if you're talking about lifestyle brands, like, that's the kind of stuff you can real quick and distribute really easily. And I think there's a lot of people out here. I think we're not, there was a time where there was like Egypt and a bunch of like black people on HGTV. We're not there anymore. No. I know this is random. This is just random stuff. But I like to see, that is how I do. I like to see black people in regular situations that aren't housewives fighting with each other. There's a place for that too, not knocking it. But like in lifestyle brands, and there's a lot of people that will partner and have brand partnerships that already have money to produce content, but they don't have any distribution. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of fun stuff in that area too. Sure. We need more of
Thank
that.
you for your
Yeah, thank you. Good job.
Congratulations. We are over time.
What's the name of it?
Yeah, he didn't even drop the name.
You said focus on diversity?
Primo, Premo.
Premo.
So we're over time.
Egypt.
Oh,
so
sorry.
Matthew, tell folks where they can find you.
All my social media is Matthew A. Cherry. And make sure to also check out Monkey Paw on Twitter. That's a Jordan Peele's production company. And we have The Last OG that stars Tracy Morgan and Tiffany Haddish.
Yes!
Coming to TBS next month.
Very exciting.
Oh my God, that looks so funny.
Where can they find you and what's next?
You can find me on everything, on all the socials at Robin Thede. And now you guys know that my last name is pronounced Thede, not Thede. So if anybody says it, you can correct them because we're all friends. Really, that's the only reason why I got a TV show, so people would pronounce it. It's a long E. Anyway, you can find me Thursday nights on BET at 11 p.m. We have 6 episodes left in our first season.
Yay.
We're a weekly late night politics and pop culture sketch, whatever, comedy show. 6 episodes left. So then you can probably find me just bagging groceries or something for the summer. No, I have more stuff coming out that I'm really, really excited about. You know what? I'll tell April. She'll email you guys. Yeah, it'd be great. But yeah, just Robin Thede on all the things.
Fantastic. So I want to thank Robin and Matthew for being here, because all I had to do was say it one time and they were like, yes.
Oh, yay!
It makes it so much easier. I mean, as you can see, there's something about having really amazing friends who do dope shit, and so I'm very
Get
humbled.
some! I'm telling you, it's the only way to move in this business. It's the only way. You have to have your tribe. You have to have them. They're going to be the ones that are rich and famous. Like, I knew Issa Rae, and with Issa Rae, nobody, she was, whatever.
So thank you all for coming out. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure that you're hanging with the rest of the marginalized communities here at South by Southwest.
Stay for the next panel. Stay for the next panel.
Yeah, stay for the next panel if you can, because it's going to be awesome.
No, this one's going to be
It's going to be right here in this room.
Yay! Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to retweet this. It's going to get archived, and I'm going to go say hi to Matthew Cherry. Okay, logging off. How do I do this?